Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of TV is a Real Mom. I'm your host, Dave, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, my sister, Katie. Katie, what's happening?
Nothing's happening. What's
No,
happening with you, Dave?
not too much. Just kicking it over here. Everything's totally tubular.
I don't even understand what that means. Tubular. Like, is it
Tubular.
shaped like a tube?
Who knows where that came from? That is
Totally tubular.
very strange word. Here we are tonight, recording this for release tomorrow on Saturday. We are recording a podcast on episode 2 of season 2 of Stranger Things.
That's right.
And how did you think episode 1, the podcast, went? Did that go okay?
It was fine. We had
Yeah.
a fun episode to talk about, so that always helps.
Yeah, I never went back and listened to it at all, so I don't know how we did.
I think we did okay.
I think we
mean,
did okay.
yeah, it's
we normally talk about Survivor, and that's so easy to talk about because there's it's like a game show, so there's so many like levels to it you can talk about,
Sure.
So
It's a
much
little
theory.
different.
So when we do this narrative stuff, it's a little different for me, and I don't know how it goes.
Well, we've done it a lot.
We have, but I've always felt like I'm just weaker on these, but I think I'm getting better.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I mentioned in the first podcast that I liked the first 2 episodes of the season the best. So this is another one that I really like. So should be fun to talk about. Yeah.
No, it's a good one. She's a good one. And
yeah, go ahead.
You know, I just want to say the Ghostbusters theme song is a jam. I was like dancing in my living room when it was playing at the end there. Yeah, man. What a jam.
Yeah, that used to be my ringtone when I first moved to Minneapolis
Really?
when I was 19. Yeah, the Ghostbusters theme was my ringtone. I had one of those flip phones, or those Verizon flip phones. It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Those were the bomb.com back in those days.
Yeah.
That's what makes me so happy about watching this show. It's like it was a time before that. It was such a more innocent time.
Yeah, I mean, we did say that in the first episode too, just like that's where the show really shines, is the subtleties that make you feel that 80s nostalgia,
Their pillowcases. They were going trick-or-treating with pillowcases.
Yeah,
do kids still do that?
That's a good question. Maybe they do, and we just don't know because
maybe. I'm sure there's some families who stick to those staples, but that was just such a nice touch. And that his mom was making the costume, like our mom made a lot of our costumes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's moms, once again, that do that. But these days it's more about order on Amazon, get it, wear it. You're the cat's meow at school.
Yeah, and what's also interesting about that is the quality has gone up in costumes and the price has gone down because things are so competitive online. People will try to get the price down on Amazon to as cheap as they can for these like amazing costumes. So people order the craziest costumes, and you don't quite get that, that
homespun feel.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's one of the biggest, the main reason I love this episode is just that Halloween as a kid is like a special time,
It's very special, although most of my memories of trick-or-treating when I was a kid involved me wearing a snowsuit. And so I was always kind of like bummed out that my costume didn't quite look right because it was like shoved over a snowsuit. Because it was always so cold when we were kids. Now, I mean, this year was pretty cold too, but like recently it hasn't been so bad.
Yeah, just this year it was cold again on Halloween, but in the few years before that, it was like warm out. You could have gone in whatever.
You could have been like these Hawkins kids without, just their costume, not a huge snowsuit.
Yeah, but I also remember because we grew up around the same time. We're only 2 years apart. That a lot of our Halloweens, were so cold. Yeah, we're wearing winter gear, like when we're trick-or-treating. But
you can't even really tell what we are in some of those pictures. But.
Yeah, but that didn't stop us from doing it. We still went out and trick-or-treated, so we know what that's all about for sure.
I don't remember trick-or-treating into middle school. Like they were trick-or-treating and I was like It's cute and all, but I was wondering if they were a little old. But then they were like,
how old are they supposed to be?
They were supposed to be in middle school, right? Like 7th grade. I don't know.
Is that what they are? Okay, I thought maybe they're like 6th graders or something.
I mean, I'm thinking like 6th,
12-year-olds.
7th, 8th grade in that range.
8th seems too old.
Yeah, maybe. But their voices are getting low.
Yeah, 6th, 7th. Okay. It's all in the same range.
Yeah, that pubescent
middle school,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, middle
sure.
school. Time
yeah, so let's talk about the episode a little bit.
Okay. I just want to say I love when they're taking their pictures when they're getting ready for Halloween. Like all the boys, their moms are taking pictures of them. Oh, it was so cute.
Yeah, for sure. Like Dusty's mom.
Yeah, she's so happy.
Let me see those pearls.
And he's got his little proton pack that he made.
Yep.
That he's so proud of.
Yeah, and I mean, how cool is it that they did feature Ghostbusters in this? You know, because I want to say I was a Ghostbuster for Halloween one year.
Well, we were super into the cartoon. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
This is like right after the movie came out.
Yeah, so for them, they're thinking of the movies, but yeah, for me, it was like several years after the movies were extremely popular, but the cartoon was still big, and you know, the whole marketing machine for kids stuff was really getting rolling in the 80s. And they were so expert at it. That's why everything from the 80s, all pop culture from the 80s has stuck around, and kids being born today will be into the same shit we were into, because
we're making sure it doesn't die.
Yeah, well, that's how good the marketing is too for that stuff. How good of a job they did. They instilled it in us to keep Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles around, and
unfortunately
Transformers, and you know, Ghostbusters.
Name something good. Like what's something that was good back then that is good now? Star Wars, although they went through a period where they were not good.
I mean, you just you try to keep positive and say it's all good. It's all, you know, it's never bad.
Except when Michael Bay is attached, like with Ninja Turtles and Transformers.
Yeah, and wait, that's someone else. Never mind. Anyways, going off the rails again.
You're right. Sorry.
Yeah, I just love the Ghostbuster stuff in the episode. That's all I have to say about that, I guess. I mean,
yeah, I just love the difference. You know, with all their family dynamics, like Dustin's mom is just all happy and go lucky, and then you've got Lucas's snotty little sister making fun of him, and then you have Mike, who clearly doesn't want his picture taken. That one made me laugh the most.
Yeah, I love Lucas's sister. She's pretty savage. She's like savage. Yeah, she's like, no wonder you hang out with boys, or you only hang out with boys, you know?
Yeah, maybe that's one of the reasons he and Dustin got up the nerve to go talk to Max that day.
Right. It's a little extra motivation when your little sister's giving you shit. It's like, well, I better.
Your sister, who was like 5.
Yeah, I better go talk to her. Better go approach a girl today, see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love the scene with Mike and Lucas, where they're arguing about, because they both come dressed as Venkman.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, okay, are they gonna make Lucas be Winston?
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. But I love that how they touched on that, like, you know, the way they you know, portrayed that was really funny, and I love their argument.
Yeah, and it's accurate to like what actually
how it is. Yeah.
So
because it's like, I never thought about that. It's like in my head I was like, Winston rules, but you know, here's Lucas like, Winston sucks, and he like kind of explains it. He's like, why don't you be Winston then? He's like, I don't want to be. Like,
because the whole point of that argument is Venkman was the cool Ghostbuster.
Yeah,
and he was the one that everyone wanted to be.
Right. Yeah. So lots of that stuff in this episode, I think, of just like quick little, great little scenes, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was one of the best in the episode. So a big theme of the episode is the boys in love with Mad Max.
2 of the boys.
2 of the boys. Yeah, I guess
Mike
one
is
of
most
them.
assuredly not in love with Max.
Yeah.
And I don't know where Will falls. He's a little bit preoccupied with his own shit. But
Yeah,
definitely just Lucas and Dustin are in love with Max.
right.
As much as any 13-year-old can be in love with a girl they met yesterday.
Right. So what's Mike's problem? What's his deal?
Mike is missing 11, and that's that. I think it's funny that, last year he was the one who brought this interloper into the party, as they call it. And the other guys weren't Dustin was always very accepting, but Lucas was not accepting at all of 11.
Right.
And here Mike is doing the same thing. But it's just
you,
because he misses 11 and he wants her to be back. And he's worried about her, I'm sure.
do you think that's super intentional by the show to have that symmetry of, 11 being the outsider last year and then now Mike's the one that's bitching about it? Or
perhaps, but I do think the reasoning behind both is very different because I think Mike is just very fiercely loyal and like as much as any 13-year-old can be in love with someone, he's like in love with 11, and he doesn't know what happened to her. Like he saw her when the government people were trying to convince him she was a liar and he needs to tell her where they are. He like saw her and he doesn't know since then whatever became of her.
right. Yep. So yeah, obviously he's upset about that. And he doesn't want anybody taking her place or anything like that.
Yeah, he made me think Max is gonna take her place.
That's kind of what I sort of thought in the back of my mind was the reason he's so upset about it, because in his mind he's like, if they let Mad Max sort of take her place, it's like admitting she's gone,
That could be.
like that.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think. So what exactly brought Mad Max around? Early on in the episode, she's not wanting to trick or treat with him, so something changes.
I think the prospect of spending, well, I guess Billy wasn't home, but maybe she felt bad because her brother Billy almost ran over them.
I thought his name is Stanley.
Who's Stanley?
I swear to God, the bully guy's name is Stanley.
His name is Billy. Billy the bully.
It's where the hell am I getting Stanley from? Because I read a review today that was calling him Stanley, and then
I read a review that called him Billy and used a completely wrong last name too. And I'm like, y'all need to do your research before you write your articles.
Is his name Billy Stanley? Maybe.
No, it's Billy Hargrove is his name.
Well, then what the hell? Because I noticed this because after reading the article, I was like, his name is not Stanley.
It's not Stanley. I don't know who wrote that.
Then no, during the keg scene, they're all chanting Stanley.
They're not. They're saying Billy.
I swear to God, they're chanting Stanley, dude.
Dave, there's no Stanley. I never heard the name Stanley.
I'm not making this shit up.
Keg stand. Because he's doing a keg stand.
Well, then I gotta find this article and show it to you because, that really threw me. I was like, I don't remember him being called Stanley the whole freaking show. And his
name's Billy. And to be fair, they don't say it much, but that's his name.
Exactly. So I'm really curious to look this up and see, if it's just this one article or if there's something more going on we're not aware of. We won't bother with that right now, but
right. But to answer your question, I think that maybe she felt bad that Billy almost killed them.
Yeah, exactly. The scene with the car when they're driving home.
What a nut job that guy is, huh?
I mean, he literally tried to run them over.
If she hadn't grabbed the wheel, would he have run them over?
Yeah. And that got me thinking how funny it would be if if Billy just runs the three of them over. And that's the end of Stranger Things. Like in episode 2, it's just almost like a game over scene. It's just sad and then a bloody the end, and it's
that'd be terrible. That'd be the worst show ever.
Yeah,
it's 10 minutes into episode 2. Oh,
that's what makes it so funny is how to think nothing like that ever happens, and all the hype around the show, and then he just runs them over and it's over.
That's funny. That would be funny. They'll probably make one of those how Stranger Things should have ended, except a dark version of it, because usually they're very logical, those videos. But
oh yeah, well they should do funny.
They should do. There's probably a spoof of them.
They should go funny dark. That would be better.
Funny dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Billy's insane. Clearly.
Insane. Clearly. Yep.
I do want to say, I know they're trying to be sparse with the information they're giving out about these characters, but I have to say I feel dissatisfied with what they give out about these two.
In this episode?
I guess I'm saying generally the whole season, but
that we don't really know.
This episode's fine because you're like, ooh, something's coming. What's his deal? And I guess you get a little bit of it, but I still like how they were arguing about whose fault is it that we're here? And Max says it's Billy's, and Billy makes Max say it's her fault. But what happened?
Yeah, well, what it turns out to be is nothing too exciting. I mean, hopefully that's not too much of a spoiler. But
did they answer that question?
I feel like what I think it is, and we can maybe talk about it after this episode. Mm-hmm. It's very basic and simple. It's nothing too crazy.
I see. Even upon a rewatch, I'm like, I still am not sure what they're referring to.
Yeah. So anyways, Mike is not the only one who is kind of a little bitch. Not the only one in his family who's who's just down all the time and like
yeah, these Wheelers, they're moody as hell these days, aren't they?
Yeah, it's basically the whole Wheeler family just sucks.
Now. Well, look at their parents. The only one who doesn't suck is Holly.
Yeah, I mean she's pretty cool, but later on in the season you get something to say like, oh well, she's not the greatest either.
No, I'm talking about his little sister, the toddler.
I'm sorry. I don't even know about her.
She's the only one who doesn't suck.
Right, didn't even know she was there, didn't know she existed.
I mean, full disclosure, I love Mike, and I love Moody Mike even because
you like Moody Mike? I don't like him. I'm not a fan.
The love story between Eleven and Mike is so like melodramatically epic. I love it.
It's good. It's all right. It's all right. I don't love it. I love it.
I love it.
But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Nancy's story arc in this episode.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit. I love
bullshit.
She does a really good. What's that?
What did Steve even do?
I don't know, but like we can all agree that like Dad Steve is great in this season, right? Like
Steve is probably one of my favorites this whole season.
Yeah, I don't know. You can already tell in this episode that Steve is going to have he's going to be a more positive character in this season. So we're not spoiling much.
Like because he's such a. I mean. Maybe they're not in love. I don't know what, but he's so like good to Nancy, and she thinks he's bullshit.
Yeah, I just think the actress does a really good job playing drunk in this episode too.
Yeah, she does a good job.
My favorite thing she says, like, "We're partying." We're partying, and
that's something drunk people do. They just repeat. They fixate on a word and they just repeat it over and
partying.
over.
I just love the way she said that. I wish I could say it, but yeah, that was great. And everything's bullshit. And most importantly, she basically says that Steve loving her is bullshit, and her loving him is bullshit. So that's cold. That hurts.
It's very cool because I don't think he did anything to deserve it. The only thing I can think of is that he is willingly going along with the facade, the whole cover story they put on this Lab 11 Demogorgon thing that really happened.
Yeah,
He's going along with it because he doesn't want to die.
Yeah,
and therefore he's bullshit.
Yeah, maybe there's good reason for what he's doing, but yeah, to be clear, that is the whole point, right? It's that we're supposed to side with Nancy. It's not right for them to pretend. The partying is bullshit. They need to acknowledge it and do something about it. So I guess, if you look at it that way, it makes sense.
I do think when she was talking, maybe it was earlier in the episode, but how she said Barb's dead and nobody seems to care. It's like it never happened. And I was like, that reminds me a lot of season 1. Like everybody was all about finding Will, but Barb died and everybody was like, meh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that article I read did mention that they gave, season 2 props for not just like brushing it under the rug and sort of like writing that into the season as sort of a piece of it. And I completely agree with that. I never realized that on the first watch that, yeah, that was something cool that they did, was to not just like pretend like it didn't happen and sort of try to find a way to work it in, so yeah. I agree with that totally. What was Nancy drinking?
Pure Fuel.
There it is. Yep.
I don't know what it was supposed to actually be, but
I just love when that guy's like, yeah, pure fuel. And he's like, woo,
And then a couple scenes later, he's throwing up in the bushes.
Exactly, yeah. And Nancy just gets hammed. Just gets hammed on the pure fuel. It's awesome.
Hammed.
Totally hammed. Yeah, what else, what interests you in this episode, Catie?
You've got Bob as a vampire wanting to move with Joyce and her family to Maine.
Yeah, that's an interesting development. Joyce does not seem to be too receptive to this. Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't want to leave the place where the Upside Down has like 50 portals leaking into your son. Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't be like,
This might be another one of those plot points that doesn't exactly make sense, that makes you go like, okay, what's going on here? Like,
well, I know my first reaction when she said that was, oh no, but Will needs his friends. Like,
oh, his friends.
Taking him away from his friends would be really sad because of what he's been through, especially.
Yeah, and what about the doctors that are familiar with the situation, what's going on? Maybe there's something to be said about, him working with people that actually know, the truth about the situation, instead of like taking him to some random doctors who have no idea what happened and would never believe what happened and can't offer any insight into that. So maybe that's a reason too.
Yeah, it's complicated.
What's your favorite cheesy Bob vampire joke?
I hope it doesn't suck, is the only one I can think of. Was that a joke?
Yeah,
I love how they were listening to Kenny Rogers.
That's what I was gonna ask you. That like they put on the record and dance. I was like, is that Kenny Rogers?
It was Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton.
Yeah, I recognized Dolly Parton. That was sweet. I loved I watched Baby Driver last night finally. I love the line in that where the teller says, like, that she quotes Dolly Parton, and it's like super profound and stuff.
What does she quote? What song?
What did she say again? It was, God damn it, I shouldn't have even brought it up. And it was 9 to 5. Yeah, it was 9 to 5, but it was like so profound, and I can't even remember what she said. Oh, something about rain. Without the rain, there's no rainbow. Without the pain, there's no happiness, or something like that. Super good. Anyways, let's see what else we got in this episode. You want to talk a little bit about Eleven and Hopper?
Sure.
I don't love this stuff in the season as a whole.
I was really excited about the 11 Hopper relationship, and then it like just immediately goes to shit
in this episode. Yeah.
When it was dark and he was still in the trees, I'm like, hey, dumbass, you made a promise to your little fake daughter that you were gonna have Halloween with her. I was kind of pissed at him.
Get over there.
Forgot.
He's supposed to be there at 5:15. He
sucks at this dad thing.
Yeah. Why does 11 list numbers in such a fashion, like 5:15? And is there any explanation for that?
I just think they didn't tell her how to teach her how to tell time in the lab.
So she just,
she just reads numbers as numbers.
Right. So like, does she call herself, my name is 011? Or
that's a good point. She's not 11. She's 11.
She's 11. So,
but maybe she just knows that as her name.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
She doesn't connect the number with her name.
Next question. Are they always eating Eggos? Is it Eggos for breakfast in this one, or did I see something?
No, I think they had toast, French toast.
Well, yeah, it was. I thought it might have been French toast, right?
I don't think it was Eggos. I mean, you don't want to do overkill on the Eggos.
Yeah, she would probably be okay with that, right? But it's but
I mean, like for the show, you don't want to be like, oh, look, Eggos again, haha.
Eggos. So, that shameless advertising, kind of like
Yeah.
Survivor and Outback Steakhouse.
Right. Not
Um,
quite as blatant though.
yeah. So, yeah, maybe he's just trying to slip in some baked good or something similar to Eggos to sort of slowly wean her off.
Wean her off the Eggos. I like how they showed how Eleven got to where she is. I mean, I guess they didn't show the whole thing at this point.
Well, yeah, that's kind of interspersed throughout the whole episode, right? Is
Yeah.
like that's how the episode starts. Is she opens up a portal in like the bear paw on the wall, and she pops
I think it was
out.
already open.
She had to like sort of reopen it or something. She used her powers to. It
She
was like
noticed it.
Yeah, there's like a tear there, but she had to sort of like bust it open, sort of.
Okay.
Yeah, but so that's the first part we get to see, and that's sort of like the aftermath of after she kills the Demogorgon, or what is Demogorgon? How do you say
Demogorgon.
Demogorgon?
I don't know. Demogorgon is
all
what
right,
I call
fine.
it. I don't know how you spell it.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up because we should. So yeah, recap 11's story for us a little bit. What happens to her after that?
She doesn't want to stay in the upside down, clearly, so she
gets
crawls out of the placenta stuff back into the real world. She tries to go to Mike's house, but the cops are all over there spinning them some yarn, the beginnings of what the cover story is going to be. And Mike is like, even if I knew where she was, I'd never tell you. And then he sees her, so they all go chase her. So she has to go in the woods, where she apparently hangs out for a long time. She finds a hunter, and does she kill him, or does she just like take a shit?
That was my question.
Does she kill him?
That was my question. Like, she eats a squirrel, and then she doesn't she launch it at his face, and it's unclear if she killed him or not. Basically,
she took his stuff.
She might have just knocked him out. Maybe she killed a man. I don't know.
She's been known to murder.
11 killed a guy.
11 killed like 50 guys and girls.
I mean, she'll kill people.
She's not hesitant to kill people. And then is that where her story? And then she goes and finds the Eggos in that little box in the woods.
And that's how Hopper finds her. Is that right?
Why was he just putting those Eggos in a random box in the woods? Like, did he know she was out there?
I mean, there's only one reasonable answer for that, right? He knows she's out there. He's trying to lure her in. And why?
Like a trap.
It makes the whole thing we talked about last week even creepier, kind of, because he's like
not an argument against the creepy thing.
Yeah, because he's like luring her with Eggos and like not telling anybody about her, like
keeping her locked in his house and telling her that other people are stupid and you shouldn't talk to them. Like, that's classic kidnapping behavior.
Yeah. But, you got the whole backstory of dangerous upside down lab people. So that want to hurt her. I mean, I guess they do an okay job of establishing that, like you talked about the scene with Mike, they're obviously looking for her, telling him that she's dangerous. So I guess we are left to assume that, yes, Hopper is doing the right thing by protecting her from these people. Let's see what else we got in this episode. Hopper and Winona have a nice little scene together. There's definitely romantic feelings there. Is that what we're
I was going to ask, do you think there is?
I mean, I feel like that's obviously what they're saying, right? Did they ever say that they dated in high school, or were they just sort of?
I don't think they did. I think they were just like, friends or acquaintances. Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and they would be outside smoking together, and then here comes the principal, and then they run away. So they have those little memories. But they're obviously establishing some romance there. As far as whether we'll get to see some sort of love triangle develop between her and Bob and Hopper, that's yet to be seen in this episode. But I feel like that's what they're going for. Yeah, so, Will has a drawing. A creepy drawing. and
Of the
that's what they're
shadow monster guy.
talking about. What does Hopper, tell Joyce about this?
I forget. What does he tell her?
I don't know. I guess I was just like saying that they have a discussion about PTSD and quacks and flashbacks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He's just trying to comfort her, I guess.
Yeah, I think she's worried. She's just worried that he might not, because you can see when they're talking about the story about smoking, you can just see on her face like all these things go through her mind, like, oh my God, is Will ever going to have that normal existence, that normal teenage existence? I think, and that's what's going through her mind when they're talking about that.
Yeah, don't you think Hopper is trying to convince himself too a little bit, because he's like scared of what the implications are, that if what Will is seeing is not just a flashback, but something that's actually happening right now.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Hopper's got to be freaking out.
At the same time, he is housing a girl who has telekinetic powers. I mean, he has to know it's like legit.
Yeah, and it's like something could happen here, and especially because he's got the whole thing going on with the crops and the pumpkins and stuff. So
yeah, that's going on in this episode too, isn't
so when
it?
it all comes together, I mean, Hopper's, red flags must be going off all over the place. Something's happening here.
Something's happening again. He's probably just like, oh shit, something bad's gonna happen again, when they just went through something a year ago and everyone thought it was over, but it's clearly not over.
Right. And again, this is the sci-fi element of the whole season that is little like not great for me. Can we glean anything from this episode about what the hell's going on?
All you can glean from this episode is that it's unlikely that it's sabotage from other farmers. So, which leads you to believe something supernatural is happening. And there is a scene in the lab, which again, I didn't quite follow. So if you could shed some light on that for me.
I can't. I was definitely going to bring it up so we could at least like bounce a couple ideas off each other.
They got the power back. They got something back and running over on the other side.
Yeah, they send a guy to the Upside Down, and they're in the middle of this open field. There's like satellite set up. So basically like some type of communications device, something that can send data back to our world or our, our parallel universe. Obviously that has been shut down. So, or some sort of capacitor had been fried, or some sort of power source or something like that. So he replaces that, and now that gets that shit up and running, and boom. What that means, I guess that means they have a way of using equipment in the Upside Down to sort of monitor what's happening there, or sort of keep an eye on things or collect data so they can learn more about it. And I think that's all that was saying, maybe, is they the other possibility. Do you have any other possibilities or theories?
No,
what the device could be?
Like they showed very little of that lab and the Upside Down in this episode, that it was weird that they even put it in at all.
Yeah, I agree. It's, if you're gonna do it, like make more of it,
make more of a meal out of it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I lean towards it's like data, like it's data collecting, because it doesn't, the whole satellite dish screams like data, like,
yeah, and
it doesn't scream like, oh, burn vines, I don't think that's what it was for. It was for data collecting.
And then they showed the doctor watching Will's, sessions again.
Yeah, and he had a stress ball.
Yeah.
So he was like, it made him very uncomfortable hearing about it.
I think he's trying to figure out. He's not like, to me, he's not ominous like Papa, or did he have a name? Brenner, was that his name?
Sure, yeah, sounds good to me.
That, to me, I feel like he's actually a scientist trying to figure out what's happening. I don't get a malevolent sense from him. Do you?
No, not really. But I do think that scene makes you question his motivation. I think he's not like evil or anything, but I think he cares less about helping Will and more about like using Will to figure out something or figure out what's going on.
Maybe,
and that's
yeah.
sort of a theory. I don't know if that's
Okay.
true.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was that scene where they like pulled up the blanket in the truck bed and there's like, were there pumpkins in there and they were sort of like, were those like ashes that were coming off of it? So were those,
I'm
you know what I mean?
blanking here.
No?
No.
Okay. When
Sorry.
Hopper pulls up to the police station
Uh-huh.
and he's got something in, is it his truck or it's somebody's truck, and he pulls up the blanket and there's like pumpkins in there and there's like ashes like flying off of them.
Yeah, it must
And
have been that farmer that brought him in to show Hopper to lodge his complaint or whatever.
yeah, so this doesn't this mean then that the lab had burned the pumpkins, right? They went out and fried them all.
I don't know.
You're not sure? Okay.
I
Well,
don't
that's
know. The
if
pumpkin thing confuses me.
yeah, okay. So if I'm right about what I saw, and I'm not the most attentive to detail person in the world, but if I'm right about what I saw, those pumpkins were burnt and there was ashes. They were burnt to ashes, and that's evidence that yeah, the lab went out and burnt the gross pumpkins and stuff. But I could be totally wrong about this. Just like I'm wrong about Stanley.
Pick up on that. Yeah, there's no Stanley.
So yeah, but there is a scene where they go to. Is this a different farm? It's some other guy's farm with crops, right? And there's all kinds of goo. Like, what the hell's going on there? Can you explain that?
It's just something that's going to be explained later. Like, it implies that there's a bigger phenomenon going on with the crops and stuff that is probably connected to the lab, because this is where it's going.
Right. And ultimately that's the farm Hopper's at when he remembers he's got to go back to 11, and the little boy shoots him with a cap gun, scares the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And Hopper tries to buy his candy from him with a $2 bill. It looked like
he succeeds.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he does, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, but 11's not having it when he gets home.
Right. What movie was she watching? That the one with the woman where she's like, all the people will be aghast.
Oh, that's a soap opera. That's All My Children.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That was Susan cool. Lucci.
I like how she kept repeating like aghast. Yeah. She was also watching Terminator.
Yeah, quite a mix.
Nice little variety. Yeah. What else we got in this episode? Anything come to mind?
Well, Will has an episode when they're trick-or-treating where he sees the big guy again, and then Mike has to snap him out of it.
Right.
And then they go home and have such a sweet little conversation.
Yeah, so that scene actually, I felt like...
Did it get you?
Well, yeah, it impacted me a little more this time around, and I liked it much the same way I liked the Jonathan Will scene.
Yeah.
It's just very well done, you know?
Yeah. It's just so cute. I can't. They're so sweet to each other. They think they're both going through their own little traumas, but they're there for each other.
Yeah, it's the right dialogue and the right connection, the right emotion. Yeah.
And Mike's just sitting there trying to understand like what is happening to Will, just being a good friend.
Just being a good friend.
So he's not moody all the time.
Not all the time, no. But yeah, they can really relate to each other. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, Will has a camera with him when he...
The video camera that Bob lent him, yes.
Yeah, you remember when we used to rent video cameras?
Oh yeah, we did it all the time.
Yeah, so that was like...
actually bought one.
That was a thing because back then video cameras were so damn expensive. Like nobody... Because there's new technology. I mean, to be able to record video onto VHS like that was like such a brand new thing. They were so expensive, most people couldn't afford them. So like our family would rent them on special occasions.
Or just for the weekend, you know. Well, but yeah, it was usually special occasions, like something was happening, and so they rented a video camera.
Right. And it's weird to think that was like a new thing at the time. Yeah. Like that was new for us. It was new for everybody, you know, to have that technology when we were kids. So it's an interesting time for sure. And I'm glad they included that, you know, in the series.
Yeah, it's just another nice little touch.
For sure. Do you like Three Musketeers?
Before they said that, I was like, it's all nougat, and then they said that it's all nougat.
I didn't know that's what nougat was. Like when
I don't know why that's a knock against it. Nougat is delicious.
Well, when I think of nougat, I always thought it was like nuts and caramel or something.
No, nougat's like the airy stuff.
Yeah, apparently that's what that is. I never knew what nougat was.
That's what nougat is.
It's good to learn
something. You want nougat, get a Three Musketeers.
I love... I think it's Lucas that says it. He's like, if I get another Three Musketeers, I'm going to kill myself. Like, that's exactly like the kind of shit.
Those are your problems.
That's the kind of shit kids really say. And like, that's funny that they, you know, obviously suicide's no joke, but I mean, to have that dialogue.
But it's just how kids are, you know.
To have that dialogue ring true, I think, is part of what makes this show special, you know. Did you catch Mad Max's costume?
Yeah, Michael Myers. That was a nice touch. Who was that screaming? It literally sounded like a young girl. I don't know if it could have been coming out of Lucas's mouth, but it was high pitched.
Is that who she addressed that to? Because she does say that.
She said Lucas, yeah.
Oh, she's like, Lucas, you sound like a girl when you scream. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought she just said you sound like a girl when you scream.
Maybe, but I to me, I thought
you assumed it was Lucas
for some reason.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Let's see what else we got here. I don't know. I think we might have covered everything pretty good.
Jonathan takes Nancy home after her bullshit fight with Steve.
Yep.
But you know, whatever, yawn.
Kind of saw that one coming.
Yeah, for sure.
I like how one of the ladies, when they're trick-or-treating, calls them little exterminators.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, look, little exterminators.
It's true, though, because, you know, the adults don't, and that was new at the time, so they were like,
they don't get it.
What is
this? Yeah, for sure.
Still being nice, though.
Right, and yes, so the episode ends with Dusty finds something in the trash can.
Something apparently loud and big.
Right.
Powerful. To move that garbage can around.
In episode 1, they were leading us to believe it's the cat Muse, so we'll see what happens with that.
We will. What's in the garbage can?
That is the cliffhanger of this episode.
What's in the can?
What's in the can? All right, so anything else you can think of from the episode that we forgot to talk about here?
No, I think we covered it pretty good. But I mean, there was some sweet stuff in this episode. This was a good one. I know you're not a big fan of the middle episodes, but I'm excited to watch them again just to see if things aren't looking good for my ability to understand them. But I still am hopeful.
Well, I know you're, higher on the season as a whole than I am, but like, do you see where I'm coming from at all with like my general feel of the middle episodes, or do you just think I'm totally crazy?
I don't like the polywog.
Polywog, what does that mean?
What's in the trash can? I don't like that.
Oh, okay. What's a polywog?
That's just what they call it before they know what it is.
Oh, okay.
That's the name of episode 3, the polywog.
Oh, that's a literature thing then?
I don't know where it comes from. It's just like I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if it's a technical term for like a baby frog or something. That's a tadpole.
Well, aren't you spoiling what's in the trash can?
Oh, spoiler alert. We'll talk about it right at the beginning of the next podcast.
Well, okay, that's the whole point, is not to spoil it. We just did such a good job of not spoiling that.
Well, I just said it's a polywog. That's nonsense to most people.
Well, when you said that, I thought it was like a literature term for like what you call the cliffhanger thing that you don't know what it is or something.
Oh, no.
But you literally were spoiling it.
If you look on the Netflix menu, it says episode 3, the polywog.
Yeah, I think most people know what's in the friggin' trash can. So sorry if you didn't.
I still don't think I gave it away. I just said there's a polywog in there.
Okay. Well, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
And that's not even what it really is. That's just what they call it.
Okay. I forgot what we were talking about before.
We were just wrapping up. We're wrapping up.
Yeah.
There's certain parts of the season I don't like, and part of that is because I just don't get it.
Yeah.
And part of that is because I just don't like it. And I'll see how I feel upon a second go round.
Right. Okay. So it sounds to me like I'm not like totally crazy in how I feel about the middle part of the season, but so that's all I wanted to know. That makes me feel better. But yeah, I'm also excited to look at these with a fresh eye, and I'll try to be more optimistic about it too.
Okay.
Good. So I'm not just down on it.
In your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I like I forgot to mention I like the part where Dusty or Max says that's awfully presumptuous of Dusty.
Presumptuous.
Presumptuous. That's a good thing, right?
Not quite.
I have to mention those things because to me that's the best stuff in Stranger Things.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
It's the kids, man. They're great. All right. Anything else you want to talk about from the episode?
No, I think we covered it.
Alrighty, that'll do it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can follow us on Twitter at TV is our real mom. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and a comment, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Bye.